Let's go to Lord in prayer. Lord God, I just thank you. I thank you so much. I thank you for your redemption. Lord, I thank you for picking me up out of a place where I was not right, definitely not right with you, and definitely not in a good place. Lord, I thank you for picking me up and taking me and loving me regardless of who I was, and accepting me and taking me and redeeming me, Lord. And I thank you for doing that for all of us. We all at times feel those heavy chains that are weighing us down of whatever it is that we're carrying, those burdens that are tied to us. And we also feel those stains that are stuck in our lives, those things that we regret and the guilt that we have over things that we've done in the past. Lord, you take those and you wipe them clean and you wipe them away and you lift them away from us and you set us free. And I am so incredibly thankful for that, Jesus. It's amazing the feeling of freedom that you can provide. It's amazing, Lord, the feeling that you give us when we commit to you, when we trust you, when we give all of our cares and all of our worries and all of our concerns and all of our troubles and everything to you, Lord, and we focus on you and we direct our lives and our paths directly toward you. And I thank you. I thank you so much for loving each one of us. I thank you for sending your Son, Jesus, to die for us, to be resurrected for our salvation, for our sake, even though none of us deserve it, Lord, because that's how much you love us. So I just thank you. Again, I loved listening to everyone sing. I loved the sounds of those words and just knowing what you mean to us. So, Lord, I thank you again. I just pray for everyone here tonight, Lord. I pray that we've got some open hearts and some open minds, and we're going to talk, and we're going to probably go through some questions, Lord. And I just pray that everybody is ready to explore you further, Lord. Everybody that's on the path, that's on that narrow path that we've been talking about, Lord, I just pray that you continue to guide them on that path and they continue to make the right steps in the right directions. For those that maybe have a foot off or maybe are several feet off the path, Lord, I pray that we can help them come back, Lord. And I pray that you can move in their lives to redirect them towards you. And for those that are way off the path so far that they have no idea where the path even is, Lord, I know that you can help them find that path. I absolutely know that. I've seen it done. I've witnessed it done. I've felt it done. I've had it done to me before. I know exactly where they're at. I know exactly what's going on. And I know that you can redirect all of us. So, Lord, I just lift this up to you. I thank you again for all of your blessings, for everything that you've done for each of us. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Oh, man, I'm telling you, being redeemed is an amazing feeling. Here's something cool. We've had some awesome stuff going on in our communities, in our churches, in our schools, which is kind of surprising to say sometimes, but it's true. The conference at Minneapolis was amazing, and I shared this with the high school students. I have 56 students who either committed their lives to Christ or recommitted their lives to Christ that I am trying to follow up with. That's a lot of students. That's phenomenal. That's awesome. Yes, amen. How cool is this? Some of us know what it's like to completely give ourselves to Jesus. Some of us know what it's like to just say, that's it. I can question who I am my entire life and know that I am never good enough, ever, and that I can never accomplish it. But it doesn't matter, because Jesus knows that too and loves us anyway. So it doesn't matter who we are. And realizing that is tough sometimes in both cases, because some of us think, like I said earlier, that we have a real high regard for ourselves. We think we're pretty awesome. I've been in that category. We think we're super cool and we can accomplish just about anything. And maybe because we're super cool and we're awesome and our life is great, we just don't need God. And then there are some of us that are way down here that don't think so highly of ourselves and are, struggling with whatever it may be, whatever junk is going on at school, whatever junk is going on in our home life, whatever junk seems like it's just piling on top of us, and we just absolutely do not feel worthy. We don't feel like, anyone could love us, let alone God, the creator of the universe. How could He love us? We've messed this up as much as we can. And the amazing thing is He does. He loves both of us, more than we could ever imagine. And it's amazing when you finally just let your guard down and trust yourself to Him. Give your life to Jesus. The feeling of redemption is unbelievable. I mean, being set free pretty much nails it. Those of you that have done it, you know that it doesn't mean your life's perfect, right? You're still going to have struggles. You're still going to have things that you deal with. You're still going to have challenges that go on. But the awesome thing is, the super cool thing is even through all of that, if you truly trust God, what it says in His book, His plan for us, if you really believe that Jesus, loves us, if we really believe that, we know that through every difficulty, every challenge that we face, He wants what's best for us out of that. And if we continue to trust Him, if we can give those things to Him, I go to God, and lately especially I've gone to God in prayer with a lot of things that I don't want to deal with. There's a lot of stuff going on in junior high. There's a lot of stuff that you guys are dealing with that I don't want to have to deal with. And you guys are dealing with it directly. And a lot of that stuff I was oblivious to when I was your age. And you guys have ideas of those things. You know what's happening. You know what's going on. You know what you're dealing with. So you have all of those struggles that you're dealing with. And to take that on your own, those are those heavy chains and those stains that Big Daddy Weave is talking about in Redeemed. And Jesus takes those away. It's amazing. It doesn't mean that you're still not going to struggle. It doesn't mean that you're going to feel that tug every once in a while, because we're not always right there. But we can always go to Him with those things. I go to God in prayer for those difficult situations that I don't want to deal with, but I have to deal with because it's life. But I know and I trust that God and I are on the same page. He loves me, I love Him. We want the best for each other. It's like a pretty sweet friendship. Right? And so I know that even though some bad stuff may happen, and it might not go the way I want, whatever it is that's going on. It may turn badly, but my trusting in Jesus ultimately will end in good. At some point, the first song talked about, we're a flower quickly fading. Here today and gone tomorrow. At some point, that's going to be the case for each one of us. Where we are with Jesus at that point is all that matters. It's all that matters. So we know that if we're right with God, if we've trusted Jesus, that in the end, it's good. It's very, very good. Doesn't mean that we don't struggle along the way. And I know that there are people right here that are struggling right now with different things. Temptation is not cool. Right? How many people were tempted by something this week? Right? Can we all keep our hand up if I say who was tempted with something today? Probably. I know I can. I can probably raise my... Who was tempted with something within the last 4 hours? I can probably keep my hand up, I'm sure. It's everywhere. And how do we... We can't avoid it, right? Because it's everywhere. And we have those things that are tempting us, that are in our face, that are trying to get us to go astray. So how do we deal with that? Ultimately, we have the choice, right? How many of you think that choices you make right now could affect your life 10, 15, 20 years from now? Right? Okay, good. It's crazy, but it's true. And it can be little choices. It can be choices that we don't even see, what they end up leading us to. And it's insane. And so every choice that we make, whether it seems little or seems big, and some of those were little, choosing whether to go left or right. When I walk off this stage at some point, I'm either going to have to go right or left. I'm going to have to make that choice. Probably not going to make a big difference in my life, is it? Probably not. What was another thing they talked about? How about the difference between lust or love? You guys know what the difference is between lust and love? Okay. So making the choice between lusting for someone, which lusting basically is me wanting something for me personally. It's trying to satisfy whatever desire I have for that thing that I'm lusting after. Or love, which is ultimately wanting what? To satisfy that person's desires or that person's needs, right? That's the difference. Okay, that's a much bigger choice. That's a pretty impactful choice. But a lot of times we don't think it through. Sometimes we think, whether we're doing right or wrong is just as simple as whether we're going right or left. And we don't really process that whole what difference those things make. In 1 John chapter 5, verse 3, it says, "For this is the love of God, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not burdensome." Anybody know the 10 Commandments off the top of their head? Yeah, no, not off the top. You got a pretty good idea of what the 10 Commandments are? No? Right? Probably not in order? You think we can get 10 of them? No? Think 5? 5 commandments? Okay, one commandment. I appreciate your honesty. No, not in order. So here's my point. We're not even sure what the 10 Commandments are, right? So how do we know if we're even following them? We don't. If we don't know what they are, how do we know if we're doing right or wrong? How do we know if we're following God's 10 Commandments for us? We don't. And this verse says that we should keep those commandments. What does that mean? Because, some of those commandments are pretty difficult to keep, especially the way Jesus described those commandments. He went in depth, right? He said sometimes, thinking certain things is the same thing as doing certain things. If you think lustfully about somebody, it's the same thing as, if you think, if I'm a married guy and I think lustfully about somebody else, same thing as me committing adultery on my wife. Adultery, cheating on my wife. That's pretty tough, right? Because sometimes it's hard to control what we think. Especially today, because we have so many things ingrained in our mind of how all of this stuff is okay with society. I'll share with you, I'm really nervous, and I always get really nervous during the Super Bowl party. Why? Anybody know why? Tyler? Just say, if that wasn't what you were going with, say that's what you were going with. All right? It's all good. Commercials. Yes.
I was going to say, some people are different watching football, watching
That's true. It's a good point. It's a good point. Competitiveness, especially if it's your team. If you're a Seahawk fan or a Patriot fan, you get fired up, you get angry, you get mad, yell at the TV when Russell Wilson fumbles or whatever. But honestly, the commercials scare me to death because I have no idea what's going to be played, and it's gotten to the point now where it's almost okay to put just about anything on TV. Has anybody ever seen a GoDaddy commercial? All right, some of you, okay. Don't. The first GoDaddy commercial came out on the Super Bowl, and it was funny because I read an article on this a while back, but it was talking about all of these commercials just bombed that year. They were tech commercials. They were internet, startup companies, and GoDaddy was the exact same thing. But GoDaddy used a scantily dressed woman, trying to appeal to a certain group of people and then sending them to a website where I don't know what happened at the website to get customers. And GoDaddy was the only company that was a startup that boomed. Because they used that to sell whomever on their product. I mean, most people, don't even know what it is. No idea. That's crazy. And it's pretty messed up. But it apparently is okay by general standards in our country for that to be the case. I think it's ridiculous. But it's a hard thing to overcome. Because, as I said, that's what the general public thinks is okay. Not cool. So, hey, we're trying to be quiet in here. I'm trying to talk. It's okay. So we're not sure of the Ten Commandments. Let's do this. What is sin? Anybody know what sin is? We talked about this a while back, right? A couple weeks ago we talked about this? Because I'm pretty sure, right? Okay. Yeah, Tyler.
It's like anything like lying, thinking of someone like badly, that, murdering.
Right. Okay. Hey, Mackenzie?
Like, just doing something that you think God would look at you like, don't do that. It's not a good thing to do.
That's a great way of right, kind of narrowing it down. And yeah, did you have something to add? Right on, exactly. I think we all pretty much know when we do something, when we make a choice. If I'm choosing whether to high five Chloe or flick Avery in the nose, I know which is much nicer, right? Not the flicking Avery in the nose. Here, I'll high five you. Right on. Right? And that's just a simple little thing. But I still know which is better to do, which is more right versus which is more wrong. The problem becomes the further that we get away from and the more often that we make bad choices, the easier it is to continue to make bad choices. The harder it is to get ourselves back on the right path. So how do we get back on that right path? How do we get back where we're supposed to be? Yeah? What was the last one? Okay, right. Did you guys hear all that? 'Cause I know it wasn't terribly loud because she was kind of quiet, but it's okay. She said praying, being in the Bible, reading the Bible, doing anything to worship God. Did I miss one? Nope. Okay. All right, good. It seemed like I missed one, but I don't remember what it was. You don't remember what it was either? Wow. All right, good. Praying, reading the Bible, asking for forgiveness. There you go. Very good. That's hard to do sometimes, right? Saying I'm sorry is really hard to do sometimes. Asking for forgiveness is hard to do sometimes. We talked. How many people were here Sunday for church? All right. It's good. That's pretty good. Okay, so you were playing volleyball. I'm smart. Okay, so those of you that were here, it was really good, by the way. The rest of you guys should come. It's pretty phenomenal. One thing that really stuck with me, and I shared this with the high school kids, is we talked about Judas, right? You guys know who Judas is. You guys remember Judas? Judas is the guy that betrayed Jesus. He's the guy that basically sold him out for 30 pieces of silver, and then was the one that eventually led to Jesus being arrested, going to trial, being crucified, and dying on the cross. Judas was one of the original 12 apostles, and he turned on him. And as Pastor Todd was talking, the way Judas did that, he betrayed Jesus, and afterwards he felt guilt. He felt remorse. He was sad, but he never went to Jesus and asked for forgiveness, right? He never did that. He felt terrible about what he had done. And so what he did was he hung himself. He went to a tree, tied a rope around it, jumped off a cliff, and hung himself. And he died. And Pastor Todd said one of the things that to me is like, boom, it was like a light bulb. He said, Judas ran to the wrong tree. Because Jesus, at that same time, was being crucified on a tree. He was being on a cross. He was being crucified. And had Judas went to the cross to seek and ask for forgiveness, even as Jesus was hanging there, dying, he would have granted it. Because we talked Sunday night, when Jesus is on the cross, there was a person on each side of him. Criminals, right? Guys who were being crucified for things that they actually did. And one guy up there was just angry and was going off because he didn't get it. He's like, okay, if you're God, seriously, get us out of here. This is ridiculous. Do your thing. Boom, strike them down and get us off these crosses. The other guy, realizing that he was Jesus, he was God, he was the Son of God, the Son of Man, begged for forgiveness because he knew that he was responsible for what put him on that cross. He committed the crimes that put him on that cross. But Jesus was innocent. He did nothing. And this man realized the sacrifice, this criminal realized the sacrifice that Jesus was making and knew who Jesus was. And he asked for forgiveness as he hung on the cross, dying with Jesus. So he lived his whole life of doing these terrible bad things, and he's now paying for it. And he's hanging there, and he realizes what he did wrong. You know, and instead of just feeling guilty and that I deserve to die, he asked Jesus for forgiveness. And what does Jesus do? What does Jesus say? Right. Today, you will be with me in paradise. I promise you. Dude, how awesome is that? But the thing is, you know, and he was on that tree, on that cross, all for the choices and decisions that he made put him there. You know, and Judas could have been in the very same place. But instead of choosing to go to the cross, he went a different direction. And so here's the thing that we all face, every one of us. Whether you are a believer, a follower, you know, absolutely committed to Christ Christian, or you like to come here and hang out and you think there is a God and you're not real sure how Jesus works into all this, but you know he's a part of it somehow and you're trying to figure it out. Or you just come because we get free food and we get to play a game and there's some cool people. But you know, this whole God thing, I don't know. Wherever you stand on that, you still have a choice of when you live your life, how you make those choices, and how that works. So why did God give us the Ten Commandments? Okay, I'll tell you why. He gave us the Ten Commandments because when we disobey those Ten Commandments and we sin, what happens? Bad things. Bad things. You know, obviously sin leads to death, right? We know this. The Bible tells us this. We've been reading Romans. We were just reading through one of my favorite verses. You know, that while we were still sinners, Jesus died for us. Sin leads to bad stuff. Not just death. I mean, I'll be honest with you. As I look at sin, as I look at the things that we can do that are not within God's will, there's not very often that I see anything positive that can come out of making a choice to live in sin. It just doesn't happen. Bad things always come out. So why God gave us the humans. He's like, here's the deal. Okay, you guys are humans, and I created you. I gave you free will to make choices, and I knew that you would mess up and not make very good choices. So I'm going to send my son Jesus to die for you. But in the meantime, while you're making these bad choices, I'm going to give you a list of some things that you should follow that will help you make good choices. And if you do this, it will make your lives easier. You will avoid sin if you follow all of these. You will avoid sin, you will avoid temptation, and when it does come, you'll be able to resist it, and so that bad stuff isn't going to come into your life. You're not going to have a son or a daughter or a baby when you're 15 years old because you didn't engage, you weren't lustfully looking after another male or female or whatever person. So you're not going to have all of those issues that come from that. You're not going to go to jail or to prison because you got mad and you beat a person to death, right? Because I'm telling you not to commit murder. If you follow these things, I'm going to save you a lot of bad stuff that's going to happen in your life. So why don't we? Because it's easy to sin. I should have brought it in here. I have a koozie. You guys know what a koozie is? One of those things that go around a can of pop. I have a koozie in my office I found in Walmart about 3 years ago. It's black. It has a flame on it, and it says, sinning is easy. They sell that at Walmart. True story. It cost me like $2.99. Sinning is easy. It's sad, but it's true. Because it's so much easier to do the wrong thing than the right thing. The right thing is oftentimes really hard to do. Especially when most of the world is enjoying doing the wrong things. So we all have a choice, every one of us. And I'm going to throw this choice out to you as far as right now going forward. You have this choice, and you will always have this choice. And I think if we can wake up in the morning and thank God that He woke us up in the morning, because we rarely do that, I'm sure. I don't know how many of you do that. I know I don't do that every morning, and I should. Actually, I did it this morning, believe it or not, but not very often. But He did. He gave me another day. He gave me another opportunity here to share the gospel and to try to reach as many people as I can. So I got to take advantage of that. So I get up in the morning, thank God that He gave me another day, and then I start making choices. And basically my choice boils down to I can pursue the cross, right? Things of God, the Ten Commandments, what Jesus taught, how Jesus lived. I can pursue the cross, pursue Jesus. I can go to that tree, or I can do like what Judas did, and I can take another route. I can follow the crowd, right? I can go do my own thing. I can walk away from the cross. I can walk away from Jesus. I can go and wallow in self-pity if I want to. I can go and think that I am the greatest thing in the world and I don't need God if I want to. I can choose to make whatever choices I want. And it boils down to, do I want to follow the cross, pursue Jesus, or do I want to follow the crowd? Do I want to be cool? Do I want to be the hip person that picks on the person that's not so cool because it's funny and then make all my friends laugh? Who do I want to follow? The cross or the crowd? It's cool to me. I like the last part. The cross says, this is done. That's awesome because that means, I don't have to do anything else to achieve it. It's done. Jesus took care of it. All I got to do is trust Him, have faith in Him, focus on Him. I think I've shared this with you guys before, but I love the analogy we heard when we were down in Branson. And he was talking about relationships, guys and gal relationships. But I think it goes beyond that. I think it can go to any relationship, but definitely those type of relationships. And he says, he was talking about the struggles of that and how it's constantly a battle. I'll be honest with you. For those of you that are quote unquote dating in junior high, I think that's insane. I do. I don't want to. I'm sorry. You're what, 12, 13 years old, whatever, 14, 11. I don't know where you're at. Man, you guys are so young. You've got so much ahead of you. I love what he said. He said, here's the key. Here's what you need to do. If you truly are a follower of Christ, then you need to turn and you need to run as fast as you can to Christ. And just keep running. And eventually you'll look over to the side and there'll be someone, guy or gal or whatever, running next to you. Avery, what'd he say? Hey, she's cute. You know, and that's when you know that you have somebody. And I think that goes with our friends as well. Because one of the biggest choices that we overlook is our friends and who we surround ourselves with. Not just who we date or whatever, but who we associate with, who we surround ourselves with is a huge thing. Because I don't think we realize how much they influence us, how much they affect us to make choices that maybe we wouldn't make if we were in a different crowd. So I think as we're running towards the cross, if that's what we choose to run towards, if we're going towards the crowd, that's your choice. Man, I pray that you don't drag anybody else with you. If you're running to the cross, drag as many people as you can. We're going to split up a little bit. I'm going to have, do you guys want to go upstairs, ladies, or what did you want to do? However you want to do. I want to kind of divide up. We've got about 30 minutes till we're done here. Divide up and I don't know, kind of get some smaller groups maybe. If that size is enough when you get up there, if you want to divide down into smaller groups, that's fine. Here's what I know that is driving me crazy. I know, I told you there's a lot of things that you're dealing with, and you may not be dealing with these things particularly, but here are some things that I know, either through some of you or other people or other students telling me that these students are doing this or whatever it is. Here are some things that I know that's going on. I know that there are junior high students who are having sex. I know, wow, right? I know that that has happened. I know that there are junior high students who are struggling with pornography. I know that there are junior high students who are drinking, who are smoking. Okay? I know that there are junior high students that are struggling with a lot of those things. I know that there are other issues. I know that there are junior high students who are struggling with cutting. I know that they're struggling with self-esteem. You know, I know that they're struggling with a crappy home life. You know? Okay, so here's what I want. Here's what I hope. Okay, I want us to be able to have friends that are pursuing the cross, that are running as fast and as hard as we are, that we can rely on when we're dealing with those struggles, that, you know, we can say, hey, I need some help. Because we can't do it alone. There's no question. And we can do it with God. But it's, let's be honest, it's a lot easier to pursue the cross when you've got somebody else there with you against a crowd that's trying to pull you away. Am I right? I mean, if you're the only one running for the cross, that's going to be a tough tug of war to win. Man, but I still challenge you to do it. And I know that some of you are in that boat. Find some friends that are pursuing that cross. Challenge each other. Help each other make good decisions. I'll let you guys kind of take it from there. I don't know exactly what you want, but I know as far as me and the guys, we're going to talk about some of the things we're struggling with. And they may share, they may not share. I'm going to share some things. You know, and ways that we can hopefully overcome those things. And maybe they have some friends that are dealing with some things that we can talk about ways to help them. You know, and maybe we're not at all pursuing that cross, and we need to figure out how to get back to that direction. So, hey, we can do that. If you guys, I never even thought of that. Good call. Look at that. Okay, we'll, I'll take the fellas. That way Lauren doesn't have to go upstairs. If you guys want to go in another room, you can do that too. Okay, so ladies will be here. Guys, we're going to go up to the high school room.